maybe you got a virus.
Yeah, it's 100% a virus.
I hope I've got a
I hate to
virus.
break it to you. I hate to break it to you. Your PC's done now.
I think your PC was done long ago.
The Mac Cyborg.
Oh, have you got a Mac now?
No, it's just white, and I've got a Cyborg sticker over the.
I mean, that's like completely legit, right?
Yeah. Okay, we're going. Yeah, Mac Cyborg's a real thing, dude. It's a white PC. It's a white no-name brand with a Cyborg sticker on it. It's 100% legit. It's known as a Mac Cyborg from here on out, just because it's white and it's got a Cyborg sticker on. So
Listen, did you get those? Did you get the extra photos I put up?
I did, Raucus. I did. We are live,
Listen.
by the way, Rock. Before you use bad language.
Damn it! I was about to talk about people.
Well, that's what you get. That's what you get. And what's happening, gentlemen?
Oaks always tune us, but it's actually Rock that instigates everything.
Yeah, to some degrees to legal implications.
Yep. Two of our esteemed colleagues have gone that route with you.
Compliments of Rock mostly.
Never.
Costing Oaks money, bro. Costing Oaks money.
What is happening,
Colleagues.
gentlemen? Everyone, Rock, how come? Have you got a new phone or something? Because it's like you've got like this.
It's like crisp, eh?
Yeah, he's got this effect. He's been buying. He's been waiting all week to use it.
You just never let me go on the video. Now the one time I go on, no, I think it's too crisp.
No, it looks good, boy. I just want to know.
The only problem is
the
only problem is your sound is so shit.
Is it bad? Okay, it's the mic setting. Yeah, hold on. Tell me this better.
You're also sitting like 4 kilometers away. Yes, it's better.
Now we lost your video, so we don't have to look at you. Oh boy, are you in pitch dark now? Okay, there we go.
This song's just burning me all day.
Yeah. Well, this song's been avoiding you like the plague.
Why are you avoiding him, Raucus?
It's like, hey guys, let's have 8 people down. Okay. Then Rourke watches. Is Warren going to go down? Okay, I'm also going down if Warren goes down. Is Warren going to stay up? Oh, Warren's staying up. I'm staying up as well.
He told me that you hurt his back.
Oh, is it? Was me?
He told me that the whole reason
Hong Kong wrestling takedowns.
He told me the sole reason his back is in pain is because of your single leg techniques were just too efficient.
Oh my goodness.
Am I wrong? Am I right?
I don't have response. No, Warren's I saw Warren fired up after Submission Kings and thought I want to try and divert around the smoke. Instead, I don't want that smoke, you know?
Why, dude?
So let's talk about Submission Kings.
Let's do that.
Epic event. Well done.
Yo, it was crazy. Epic. Thank you.
Do you know how many people said to me that it looked like an international one when they first tuned in?
Dude, so like when me and Justin first arrived in there, I was also like, for the first hour, I just stared at everything. I was like, honestly, like, how is this even happening? Because it's, it's funny because I should actually try and pull the posters up so I can show the progression. And I was saying to Justin, that was like one of the hardest things to do was to like keep those pictures away from everybody, like as they progress, because it was completely different. It started with just tatami mats on the floor, and they were like in a different shape, and we had this whole idea. And then
I think I saw that photo.
Yeah, the original one. Yeah,
and then I didn't see anything from there until fight night.
I had to ghost everybody.
And
well,
then Cameron Pritchard actually had no idea what it looked like. He thought he was going to be rolling in a hall with some like bright chairs out on the side for people to like sit and like just dingy mats. And he said some like, those little pop-up banners. That's what he was expecting.
Yeah.
When he arrived, then he checked the setup. He was like blown away.
That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, it was quite funny like watching, because we originally wanted to have the Waynes outside, like with the Sub Kings banner wall, so no one would see it, but so like they would arrive and see it for the first time. But I think the day before I decided, I was like, that's probably not a great idea. Like, I want people to walk in at weigh-ins and understand what they're dealing with when they get you, you know? It would have been, I mean, I think the safety officer eventually had said to me, he's like, dude, you can have more people in here. But I was so like stringent. I didn't want complications, especially for the first one, you know, like it would have been so cool if we could have decked that place out with people going wild in there. That would have been
Well, now
sick.
you can, eh?
Yeah, now we can.
Sporting events allowed spectators now.
Long may it last. I think that's like also like the first sign of the, I want to say the end of the road. But I mean, it is voting season after all, so we've got to keep the people happy. So much 100%. To our benefit.
If we remember last year, this time we were heading towards another lockdown where the whole garden route was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, good times. But yeah, man,
what was your highlights of the event?
Man, it's so hard. Like, I mean, obviously, I was running around quite a bit. Like Neen had a lot of questions for me, and it was timing things and stuff like that. So I've had to go back and watch the event. Some of the stuff I've watched like 6 or 7 times, to be honest. But definitely, I love the setup, like the Barbarians versus the All Stars. Like the spirit was really cool. I dig this. I was so happy to see that like Will and Gareth got to roll each other. That was pretty cool. And everyone just decided the Barbarians won. That was pretty cool for me. I was like, cool, they win. Okay. That's what you guys say. Cool. But yeah, man, I love the whole event. I liked it. I wasn't too sure initially about the super fights and how they would fit in and what they would look like and stuff like that. But I mean, having guys like Cedric Doyle against Dylan Miguel, like we know Dylan, and people in the jiu-jitsu scene know Dylan really well. I mean, we were competing, me and him were competing as white belts together. And I remember quite clearly because I was cornering a teammate and he baseball choked my teammate fraught outdoursing. And I was like, this kid is getting really, really, really good. Like he was progressing a lot faster than ours, you know? So I was like, it was quite cool to see him. I've watched him as a white belt and now compete on that stage against Cedric Doyle is really, really good, man. And then have like Adam versus another guy who's not really well known outside of the jiu-jitsu circles was pretty cool. I quite like the styles, and it created like especially Adam Speechy versus Jubir Grigor, created like just like a slowdown, like a time for everyone to catch their breath. And I felt like
it was almost like a intermission.
Sure. Like a active intermission.
Yeah. Active recovery.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Then obviously, I mean, without a doubt, like the standout moment was the final for sure, man. It was such an interesting thing. I mean, obviously, the problem with CRT being 4 people, and it was interesting because we had watched Drickus, the Gracie Hunter, literally wipe out Ilovo, and then you're like, okay, cool. Well, he's definitely I don't know how tired he was, but he obviously looked like he had given it a good go, and it was interesting to see how they were going to do it. And I don't know, I mean, we were going crazy inside there. The first kid who came out, that Jason Durant, who's a white belt, who's like I mean, he's obviously been training for a little while to go and hold out Liam Cledden like that was unreal. And it just seemed like he was constantly in a problem, and he just found a way out. Not only that kid was a white belt who had to deal with Liam Cledden, who's an absolute block. But he literally
had to get MMA champion for the EFC,
and he literally got the call up on like 24 hours notice. And there's another side that people didn't really see what happened. So PESFA were quite a late entry. They had to finalize their team. Like that dude, literally, I think he got told on the day before he was flying. They're like, listen, and he was overweight from what they needed to be. And I kind of said to Chris, I'm like, look, just get you. If you're like 1, 2, 3 kilos over, like we'll figure it out. Like what's important is that you get you. So they landed here. They couldn't land here. Firstly, the storm sent them back 3 times. They tried to land 3 times in Joburg, got diverted to Durban. Chris messaged me from Durban at like, it must have been 10 o'clock on the night before. And he was like, dude, I don't know what happens from here. I was like, well, I'm just going to go to sleep and hopefully you're here in the morning. And that was the kind of thing. So they got in late, and I think they even arrived after curfew. Landed here, got lost coming to the venue for Wayne's, got onto the scale, and they were 2 kilos over. And I was 2.4. Like, 2.4 kilos over. And I was like, oh God, what do we do now? Like, obviously, like we've been quite stringent about Oaks making weight.
Yeah.
So Justin Ferrier was like, no, dude, get the towel and get your kit off. We're going to reweigh everybody. And we eventually got them down. I think it was like 400 on the dot, or maybe like just under 400. So that was pretty cool. And then at the time, like it was like all these little young baby face killers just came from PESFA. And I must be honest, like I looked at them, I'm like, I think these dudes are going to have a long night, but they are like, they're the dark horse, you know? They're like the relative unknown dark horse. And they just, the jiu-jitsu that they put on, like the submissions that they put on was just unreal. That Reese van der Merwe's armbar on BigAl was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I think that was
like a last, what were we in the last minute or last 2 minutes? It was like this Hail Mary flipping arm lock from rear mount. And it looked like he was sliding off of Tal's back and just managed to snag it at the end. It was epic.
Look, I mean,
and then obviously the place erupted after that.
I mean, that was probably the highlight of the event, was that exchange, because for people who didn't see it, there was quite a negative exchange at the end of Tal's fight with Gregor, and to the point where he was begging, or he's asking for forgiveness, saying sorry to Chris for how he behaved. Chris wasn't too interested, and I think that instantly turned him into the villain, right?
Yeah.
And the people that were allowed in the arena, I mean, you can go listen to the video, but there's some coarse words and language thrown towards him. So he definitely turned into public enemy number one directly after that. And then for Reese to come and snap off a armbar like that, just sent the flipping crowd into, or not really the crowd, like the people that were there for the event, just started going crazy for it.
Well, it was quite funny because I think I still came up to you and I was like, I'm sure surely this round's a 4-minute round, because it seems like a substantial size difference between the two, you know what I mean? And I think the weight difference was like 7 or 8 kilos or something like that. But like looking at the two of them,
it was 19. Or who was it? Who was it that was 19?
I think it was Liam versus the Advocate, wasn't that?
Something
one?
like that. So I think
one that was like 19.
Tal actually weighed in a lot lighter than he looked. I think he weighed 85 kgs or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, there's a mega moth flying at me. So like, it was funny to see you. Like you looked at the two guys and these guys don't look the same size at all. But I think it was like, I mean, Reese was 7 or 8 in the mid 70s, and Tal was in like the mid 80s, which kind of made sense. But the frames just look completely different. And there was one other moment I wanted to talk about. Cam Simon.
We're getting quite physical with them.
Yeah. Cam Simon versus Joel Preller was immense as well. I mean, they stalled each other out in there, but it was a lot of back and forth. And I think even Cam Simon, to some degree, earned quite a bit of respect in the grappling circles, because you've never really seen him in that kind of exchange, having to deal with like a good grappler, you know, like and they were similar size, which was quite cool. So you had quite a nice even matchup. But at this point, like I think PESFA were a couple of Shidos down, like even though they had
they had 2 Shidos down already.
Even though they had the one person advantage, like it was they were in a bit of trouble still with Drickus to come, you know what I mean? And like,
is it a one person advantage if the average size of those people is quite substantially bigger?
Look, but I mean, on the numbers, like on winning, you had a one person advantage. So like, and the first one you had stalled out, so it was going for them at the time, you know, and then Tal kind of evened it out. So it was very interesting at this point. You're like CRT, like Tal could wrap this up, and then Drickus could come in to finish if he managed to stall out. It was such an interesting scenario. Like in terms of a final, in like decking out a final, I mean, it couldn't have been scripted better. You know what I mean? The way that it worked in the end, which was awesome.
So I mean, just touching on the CRT weigh-in debacle. Obviously, a lot of folks that had time to think about it, and I've spoken to a lot of different guys from different camps, and it seems that the consensus was that guys were very upset about it. Number one, And I think the consensus is that the feedback I received is that the remaining teams are going to boycott it if they tend to use these tactics again.
Yeah. No, which is understandable, man. Like, and it's like, trust me, I know, like, people are hitting at me like, well, what are you going to do about CRT? I'm like, like, it's on the eve of weighing, like the bottom of the 9. They've told me this is the situation. They're like, people have said to me, well, this is obviously a tactic. I'm like, yeah, but I can't. I mean, I don't have any way to prove or to disprove that. I can't say that. Like, the reality of the situation is they've got 4 guys. They've put themselves at a disadvantage, based on the fact. Obviously, it's weird that they couldn't find a lighter person, and this is that heavy oil check.
I mean, I don't think it was a disadvantage, to be completely honest with you.
No,
I mean, the fact that you can run like 3 heavy guys in a team, I mean, that's the whole trick of a weight limit, right? Is that you can't get 3 heavy guys into a team. But they were obviously dead set on getting these guys into the team. And yeah, it was an unfortunate thing to have to deal with on the first event.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was tough on me, like, and especially like the guys, I think from Eastern, man, they were giving me like a super hard time about it. And I was like, look, guys,
understandably though,
yeah,
right?
No, for sure. Like, I was trying my best to kind of do. I'm like, the situation right now is, I mean, either we can have the caliber of someone like Drickus on the mat, which I think people that competed against him thoroughly enjoyed, win or lose. They enjoyed that opportunity to grapple with someone like Drickus.
Yeah.
Or we can get rid of them, and then we're gonna have a round robin. And I think it's gonna be a bit strange as well, like it's gonna be a bit weird, and then it's figuring out who goes where and how that all happens. And it was complicated, so like, as a team, we kind of made the executive, we're like, look, whatever, man, just let the show go on. Let's get through the first one. Obviously, we've learned a lot. Like, we won't allow that again. Like a 4-man team. Sorry, dude, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And like, I'd explain to you, like, the whole point of the 400 kilo weight limit as opposed to the like traditional 420 or 430 kilo was to make it that much harder. You know what I mean? Like, 420, I mean, they would have found someone like at 80 kilos that would have been easy, But
yeah,
I like the 400 kilos because you had to really think about how you would do that and how you would put that in. It's not that easy. That extra 20 kilos, like we saw with the Barbarians and the All Stars, we gave them that extra 20 kilos in the end. It made such a huge difference. It was so much easier to fill those spots out, So it makes a massive difference. So I like the 400 kilos because you have to really, really think about how you do it. If you put one heavy guy, like plus 80, plus 90 kilo kind of guy, you've really got to play smart from there, and you've got to have almost like insanely good grapplers for their body weight. So you've got to have like this value per kilo kind of thing, which is so the 400 kilos will stay. I think it's so cool. And you've got to like really deck in guys that are great value for their weight. This is getting close to the end, yeah. So it was unfortunate. I mean, obviously, guys were super unhappy about it, but it worked in the end. You know what I mean? It worked out. I'm sure Gracie Baha probably not all that happy about it. But yeah, man, like, it's tough decisions you got to make. Unfortunately, I think
you guys
learned a lot from the first event,
for sure. My approach to all of this,
Mark almost upset that first round one by almost heel hooking Drickus, which is crazy.
Yeah, that would have been hectic.
That was intense.
So this is a chat this is so good, dude.
There we go.
Yeah, onto the arm.
Boom.
Oh, this transition was like so good. That's it, dude. Yeah, it's like under his armpit. Check Jamie Gemmell going wild.
Chicken Warren got his hands over his face.
Dude, that was so hectic. I was in shock as well.
It was almost like against the flow of what was happening, It was back and forth. But I mean, like, Reese just prior to that had his back taken for a while.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought that like the tide was turning towards Tull, And then Reese kind of like snapped it back there with like 2 minutes to go, So
you were
massive event.
That was the turning point for this final, right? You have to think maybe that was where it shifted into Pesso's favor.
Yeah,
100%.
it did, because all of a sudden you've got one more person to kind of like give Drickus as hard a time as possible, you know. um and then you've got your hand in the wings, you know. So it was like, when you're watching that, you had Tal versus Reese, you had like 1.5 minutes to go. You were kind of saying, okay, if Reese can hang, because like my attitude was like, if Reese can hang on, yeah, he's done all right, because then we're gonna see Drickus and Johan straight off the bat, you know. But it was even better that he got to go and wind down the clock a little bit with Drickus, who's now calling someone out. But man, it was so like it one of the suggestions that I got back from one of the teams, because like I've been what I was saying, my whole approach to all of this was just be honest, talk to the guys, communicate, try and explain reasonings, and get everybody's feedback on it. And it's like post the event, we've got a lot of not criticism but feedback, you know, like, next time, why don't you try to do this, why don't you try to do that? And they'd say to me, make this 4 minutes actually an option for the smaller guy, because sometimes it's actually to their detriment, because a bigger guy can go a bit harder, like off the bat, he's got less time.
No, I agree with you.
Which was a cool suggestion. And we've got a few, I mean, obviously like production notes that people have given us, and then obviously the rules. Like, I mean, we spoke, there's a couple of things, like for sure rash guards are going to be compulsory.
Rash guards compulsory. You know what the thing is, like I'm a big fan for like, if there's a successful rule set internationally, to like adopt the rule set in its entirety. But unfortunately, quintet is actually like kind of fizzled off a little bit, and it's only really being done in Japan at the moment. And when you take a deep look at the rule set, it's actually quite limiting to the entire event. You know, it's like there's a lot of things in the original rule set that actually don't help for exciting jiu-jitsu. And I think, unfortunately, for this type of event, I think those rules have to be modified drastically. And one of the major rules I think needs to be reviewed is obviously the passivity warnings. Because it was a hot
check raw
topic on the night.
Completely out of focus for not taking the photo he asked for.
Oh man, raw.
It was too late.
Well, then Bobby was like, "Hey, you didn't get the shots." I was like, "I got quite a few, Drickus getting his hand raised. Don't worry."
I've got a
There's a couple they can pick from.
So yeah, I mean, I've got some suggestions. I mean, obviously, I ran most of the rule. I oversaw all the rules for the night, and we figured out what worked and what didn't work. And in preparation for the next one, I think we'll sit down and fix all of that.
Sure.
So what's the next plan? Is it to have another tournament, or is it to like kind of go team versus team? Someone has to defend the title. What's the idea?
We're in such a weird position now, because we're trying to do a lot. So obviously, I think it came out today, 27, 28 November is going to be the sub kings, queens, and kids, which was always part of the plan. So we obviously want to alternate between the two, because these events look great and they're a lot of fun. And this is like my passion project. But they cost a lot of money, and that like we deep in the hole here from this one. So the competition will be a chance for us to get a bit of money back into the bank for SAMAF, and obviously help towards some loan accounts for this event. And that gives us a chance to start working on the next one, which we're pushing for the end of Jan. So it's an interesting one, because obviously we've got momentum on this, and now we've got teams that want to be in the quintet, you know. So my idea was to drift off from the quintet for a little bit and then come back to it. But I think with the success of the quintet, we're gonna stick to it for now. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna throw in a few other bells and whistles. We've got a lot of ideas. It's hard to kind of now figure out what is the best way forward, and like we want to capitalize on time and momentum, you know. So I'd like to there's some fights we want to make, and there's some quintets we want to make, obviously, you know. So we want to see Pesver come back and defend. We want to see some other teams in the mix. I'm hoping to get a Cape Town representation, either in the form of PFA or Henzo's. Like a lot of people messaging me, they're like, "Oh, well, you can't have a grappling comp without Henzo's," and I'm like, I hear you, but Henzo's just, it seemed that they weren't interested at the time, you know.
Because they were invited, right?
Yeah, well, we put the thread out and we never got anything back. So, like it wasn't as if we didn't try and get them here. We wanted Henzo's in there, and we just didn't hear anything back. So, like we will try again. If not them, perhaps PFA, because I think PFA can put out a pretty good team at the moment, especially if the likes of Mike Munimi, Jelson, Richie Lowe, who I actually went to go ask about Richie Lowe. Because I had said to him, I'm like, look, dude, that was really quick. You came all the way from Cape Town. Let me put another 5-minute fight up for you. We've got time, if you're keen. And he was like, umming and ahhing. He's like, nah, he's not feeling great. And like, I went to ask afterwards, and they're like, well, like since COVID, he just hasn't been the same. He got COVID really badly, and he is struggling, So I was like, cool, well, maybe the next one PFA can make it. They've got some good guys there, they can put
Don't they still
together.
have Khalil Atlicker and those guys there?
I'm not too sure, but I mean, like a guy like Khalil is a killer, So all of a sudden you start to look at a good team, especially like someone like Richie Lowe is really light in weight. And obviously we
how much did he weigh in for this event?
Oh, dude, he was under 70, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's a value for money.
Yeah, early 70s. Obviously, we want to give Cobrinha the chance to get in there that they missed out on, and then start.
The guys are fired up, bro.
No, for sure.
It wasn't for a lack of trying. I mean, we went through a pretty full camp, but like the original team was Devet, Don, myself, Stain, and Luke, and then we lost Don to PFL. He's got a fight in like 2 weeks. Then we replaced him with Boyd. Then we lost Boyd to a boxing match. We replaced him with Cam. Then we lost Luke to ADCC and Nogi Worlds. Then we wanted to put Chad in, but Chad's signed to have a fight in Russia. Well, it was Russia at that stage. It's moved now. Then we're like, okay, cool. Fabian's going to come in. Fabian got a back injury. Then Devet blew his knee out. And then it was like, okay, Rourke can come in, but Rourke got a back injury. So we were like so far away from like the original team that we weren't willing to like throw our name in there anymore. Like, I mean, we could have done the CRT route and just thrown Chef in there and like put a 4-man team in there and do like Stain, Chef, myself, and Cam. And then like, I mean, that's almost borderline illegal to have Chef in any team. Right? I mean, that really wasn't what we were trying to aim at. So I think the guys on the mend and all those other guys will hopefully be available. And I think those oaks are super amped to compete.
Yeah, so and that's what we always knew. We knew after the first one, like we believed in what we were doing, and we believed that after one was done, everyone kind of like saw what we were trying to do. We'd have a lot more interest from other people as well that were kind of like on the fence. I mean, even today already, I've had people messaging me about when are you guys coming back to Durban and stuff like that. We coming. Like we've got to kind of go through the road. We can't have an event every single weekend as much as we love to. But
how many entries did you have for Durban?
I think it was about 100.
Okay.
Yeah, it was somewhere like 100, just under 100 maybe. The Durban took long because we obviously on those divisions we ran the longer format round robins, so it was like a max of 4 in the round robin. We're anticipating big numbers in Joburg, so we would either do the straight knockout depending on the divisions or run like a max of 2 round robins, because I think Joburg's going to be pretty juicy, if I'm honest.
Look, I think for the divisions where you only have 3 or 4 guys, you could run around robin because I mean it's the same amount of fights.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
But when you get like divisions with 16 guys, and your only option is to hit a
straight
elimination.
Yeah. So we've said 27, 28 November. We're guessing we're going to need 2 days. Do like kids and ladies on the Saturday and then the men's divisions on the Sunday. That's kind of what we're planning. Obviously, if it doesn't work out that way, it'll be just Saturday. We've got a lot to work out. And like I say, we've got some cool ideas. I don't really want to talk about them too much because I have noticed that there's ears all around, and it's not like, I mean, people can do whatever they like, but it's just like if it's not authentic, it becomes a bit frustrating. So So I've had to kind of keep a lot of plans under wraps, even to the point that sometimes like I'll only tell one other person, you know, like what we're trying to do, or bounce an idea of somebody that I trust, you know, like that's kind of where it is. And that's fine. Like we want to see other competition, but like we have to diversify, because I think it was quite cool. So like Versus, for example, like the way I see it is that they've gauged what's been done, and they've tried to like bring combat jiu-jitsu, and they said, okay, this hasn't been done, so let's try this. And that's cool. Like we want to see all covers cornered. I mean, we can't own the market, like, but we want to see other stuff. And to be honest with you guys, we've got some interest already, and we've got some people throwing money already, and like saying, you know, I want to sponsor the next event, X amount of money for this and for that. And we're like, that's awesome, dude. Like, one of the big things we've tried to do is, from a marketing perspective, and this is an interesting one, and I hope people, and if there's like fighters, for example, that want to come and talk about how we're going to do this, is change the advertising model, you know, completely change it, invest your investors into your product. And that was what the CMH Barbarians and the Green Machine All Stars is all about. We invested those people into that product. That's their team. They own that team. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden we had people that have never seen jiu-jitsu before in their life cheering for a team. You know what I mean? And we got such good feedback from both of those people.
You've got a vested interest now in a specific group of guys.
And like, I mean, obviously
those are fun. That was a fun matches to watch as well. It wasn't just cool. Like you could get invested behind each team, which was awesome. It wasn't just the branded teams, you know. It was the like franchise teams, which was cool.
For sure, man. And like, so Justin was very cool the way he did it. Like he made Barbarians golfers for some of the people at CMH, and for the Green Machines, like a couple of kids shirts and stuff as well. So there was a lot of interest from that side, which was really cool. And I mean, obviously, like we had the marketing product on how we put out our sponsors and stuff, and it's been pretty effective, you know. So that's where we're headed. I'm hoping that those things will translate into like a continued revenue, and because, you know, the quintets won't last forever. We want to squeeze in. So I think like end of Jan, we'll do another quintet event with some other super fights, and then probably March or so, we want to do something completely different from that, which we're busy lining up. We're trying to work out the exact way to do it, which I think is going to be very, very cool. And that's going to be more based on like your proper pro style event. That's what
like a WNO style event, or like an ADCC style event.
Yeah, like a WNO types, like smaller numbers, smaller brackets, not hundreds of people. That's what we want to do. We in fact, we were originally playing with those kind of ideas to run them into each other, like on a Friday night, have like a pro style event, and then run that into the comp on the Saturday. The concern is that it's like we don't want to like completely wash you with jiu-jitsu. It becomes a bit much, you know what I mean? Like short, impactful. Like we were really worried about the timeline for the quintet, because like if all of those quintets go the distance, you're in for a long night. Like it's just going to be a long night. There's nothing you can do about it. But we were like pushing and pulling with the time, which was really great. Like Anine would come to me and say, look, we're way ahead. Like, what do you want to do here? Do you want to slow it down? Do you want to speed it up? And we were like constantly toying between the two, and we would like go back to the fighters like, okay, that team kind of needs a rest. Let's run a 5-minute interval here and give them a chance, or let's just roll into the next one, which was pretty cool. So it was, we learned a lot. I'm super happy with the product. It was emotional, to be honest. Like when Sia started talking, but I had to go like hard in a corner, dude. It was so intense. Like it's been a lot of work, a lot of work. It's been long hours. I mean, amongst our jobs and stuff as well, you know. So it was intense, and to like watch that moment happen was super crazy, man. Because in the morning when we were there, like we knew something crazy was like this madness was about to happen, you know, like this whole event had been staged, and all we needed to do from there was let the people perform. So it was awesome. And I didn't sleep. I was like on a buzz for like 3 days afterwards. So I said, I'm like, guys, don't talk to me about future plans today. Like I'm still on a high. I'll tell you, let's do it again tomorrow. So like, let's talk again in a few days.
Yeah. You need everything to set.
No, for sure.
It's like whenever you have a fight and you win the fight, then you like want to talk about the next fight. Like, just relax, bro.
Slow it down.
Wake up tomorrow morning, see what happens.
Yeah, but it was, dude. And you know, like it was cool to get all of the support and stuff that we got. And it was, like everybody had good things to say, and they were like super happy to be part of it. And, like we're in for the next one. And it was really, really cool, man. And that's what we wanted. Like my whole thing with all of this, with the comps and everything else is, I want people to walk away with a smile on their face. I want them to be happy. I want people to enjoy competing jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And that's
definitely.
really, 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 really what I'm after.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Been a great event. We've got some awesome stuff lined up where we really want to, like, now that we understand the model and how to do things, I think we're in a good space to like really catapult from here, to like really bring things to the jiu-jitsu community here that's never been done before. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And again, it brings a lot of help to SAMAF, and helps athletes, and it also helps the jiu-jitsu community, which is a win-win for us.
Awesome, dude.
How's a lot of drama been happening in the MMA world? The whole Chuck Liddell's been the latest on the arrest list.
Well, we had John Jones, and then we had Luis Pena.
Yeah, dude.
Chuck Liddell, except Chuck Liddell's one was a bit different, right? He was actually the one that got assaulted.
Yeah, this was a weird one, man.
And then they wanted to arrest his wife, and he opted to rather be arrested over her. So
that's weird.
Yeah,
super peculiar, bro.
I would
also saw. Sorry, okay.
I would imagine that there was probably a call for a disturbance, and when the police got there, he just took it on the chin, and he was like, yeah. He just got to let himself get arrested.
Apparently, she had no bruises, anything on her. He had like, I think like a laceration or something, and like bruising from her assaulting him.
Yeah.
So, So I suppose they had to bring someone in.
I just want to point out, Rourke, that your brother's first response was like, "Who's his wife?" Tyson Fury.
Oh man,
I was like, because I was explaining this to my wife. Imagine being Chuck Liddell, who is legitimately considered like the most dangerous man on earth for many years. Yeah, and then like his wife,
was flying through guys, bro.
Yeah, this little lady. It's a shame. It's heavy. But this is what he was saying here, is like all the information about this case will be revealed in due course. However, it is important to convey and clarify a few facts. Like, imagine being this dude, like you've gone through all of this, you're being slandered on every social media possible about all of this stuff. It's so hectic, man. He says he was a victim. His wife would be arrested, so he volunteered to go into a place.
Bro, he's a decent man. If he's like, your wife just beat the fuck out of you, and now you're like, okay, you know what? I understand what happened here.
Hey, just listen, you better go to jail for me, or you're gonna get more of the smoke.
Oh man.
But like, yeah, dude, it's so hectic, man. But like how funny it is. Like straight away when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, CTE boy, it's coming back to haunt everybody. Meanwhile, the poor dude's getting smashed by his wife. It's so bad. This is a big one as well. Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. Oh damn. Do you reckon the UFC was just like, listen, Leon, take the fight or you're out?
Apparently he didn't want the fight at first.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was like, my next fight's for the title. And Dana was like, yeah, cool. Your next fight is Jorge Masvidal.
Dude, it still makes me laugh that anyone in the UFC thinks they have any sort of pull against these guys. The UFC doesn't care about anyone, bro. They care about like maybe 3 people that are like their big revenue turner. Like, I think Conor can say whatever he wants and get away with it. But I mean, unless you're Conor or Ronda or I don't even think there's anyone outside of that. John Jones maybe, because John Jones still slips in somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, doesn't matter who you are. If the UFC say you're going to fight, look at Francis Ngannou, right? He was like, no. And they're like, sweet, you're going to get sidelined forever.
Yeah.
And we're going to give an interim title fight. And then when you come back, you have to fight this guy instantly. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, Dana's like response. I think they were asking about John Jones. I mean, obviously the incident with his wife, and it was like, like, where do you draw the line with John Jones? Like, he's like, his response is, it's a fight game. Shit's gonna happen. I'm like, Okay, but that's not the fight game, dude. That looks beating his wife. Like
I know.
that's like a
But he can't
ninth
afford to
time
lose John Jones,
he's
right?
been arrested, dude. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
so strange, dude. Like there's a lot of strange stuff goes on. You're just like, yeah,
dude.
it's the
Well,
fight game.
I saw
What you gonna
the other
do?
day as well. Jason Miller also got arrested.
Who?
But he's been arrested a million times. You're so over him.
Also on
Domestic violence charges.
also on domestic
Who was
violence
that? Sorry, I
charges.
missed that.
Mayhem Miller.
Oh
Jason
yeah,
Mayhem
dude.
Miller.
Dude, that looks.
That
always
okay to
been
stand
arrested.
up with the SWAT team the one time, bro. Like you can't take that seriously anymore.
Yeah, to stand up for the SWAT team and live tweeted the whole thing.
Yeah. He's crazy, bro. He's a complete. Remember, he's like 5 seconds of fame in the UFC. Like they brought him in, and he caught like one win. And they're like, "Sweet, you're on the Ultimate Fighter." And then like Oaks saw his personality on Ultimate, like, "Whoa, this looks a loose cannon of notes." And then it's just been a downward spiral from there.
So Louis Pena, who also got arrested. According to online inmate records, Pena was taken to custody on Saturday in Deerfield Beach, Florida, on charges of battery, causing bodily harm, and battery domestic violence. He was like arrested the last time for like breaking and entering or something?
Yep. Like the other day. Like not even like that long ago.
Yeah.
Yes, the pay must be bad at the UFC.
Yes, dude. I mean, if you're a professional fighter, but like these images, just like, bro, if you're walking home at night, I'm for sure gonna cross the road, dude. I am for sure gonna cross the road, dude.
That looks like someone that's gonna beat the fuck out of you.
I want nothing to do with that, dude. What? Look at that, bro. I'd shit myself.
He's got like murderer eyes, dude.
He does, bro. Like I feel like put that in black and white and put some like drastic music around it. Yeah, dude, I'm out. That's a horror movie.
Well, dude, he's just been arrested and having his mugshot taken. Looks like he doesn't give a shit. I'd be like half crying at that stage. Like,
it looks like he's like giving the cameraman the hairy eyeball, like he's gonna fuck him up later. Jeez, dude, for sure.
Like I
Calm
was
down,
like,
bro.
okay, you're done. Get out of here. Get out of here.
For sure, calm it down, bro. It's just been dramas, but MMA dramas all over. Heavy times.
So, you were at EFC on the weekend.
I was. I got there very late. They started at 2:00, which is lunchtime for sure. Please don't ever do that. Start at lunchtime.
Curfew's like midnight. I don't know.
I couldn't quite figure it out.
And they can't say we have to pack up the cage because you're not packing up the cage. Like,
yeah, I felt in the end it obviously had something to do with the broadcasting time of the UFC because it was prime time, which would have crossed over I think at 8:30 on SuperSport. So I assumed that was it. But yeah, like I was still on a buzz from the night before. I hardly slept. I was like, oh. I wasn't sure if I was going to go because I had a million things to do. But eventually I just went. Like I got there in the interval. Yeah, it was cool. Like it was, like it was one of those weird events. It didn't have like that massive buzz about it, like it felt like everyone was kind of just going through the motion.
Yeah.
But I mean, the main card had some pretty good fights. I missed some of the prelims while I was watching on my phone, or then I was like keeping tabs while I was driving. For sure, Van Damme at 149 years old beating the snot out of Jean Bizano. It was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool. I was like, it's okay. He's 48. I'm all for it. He's a man mountain.
Dude, he like body slammed that oak. He body slammed the head.
He just
like
bro, remind me of like a cartoon when like the giant just like picks someone up and just like it was amazing.
It was craziness, dude.
Just like you can't call it a double leg. You just like picked him up and threw him on the floor and hammer fisted him. I was like, awesome. That's awesome. It's great.
What did he pop for? Like, it was like a random thing, right?
Diuretics. He popped for diuretics.
Yeah.
He did 2 years, maybe.
Well, he was 5 years out, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was
2016 was his last fight.
I don't think it was his. Oh my god! If anybody knows how to make my browser stop telling me my fucking thing is not secure, please. What is it doing? I just want to think.
I think it has something to do with the internet connection, right? I mean, I'm not a fucking IT genius, but I'm almost 100% sure. I'm almost 100% sure.
Yeah, it's very strange. But I know it was diuretics. I just want to see how long he got. I feel like it wasn't all that long. Max Merton, my boy. What a guy. What a guy.
That had everything inside of him.
You see, he's like involved in some promotion now. He's like doing all the face-offs and stuff. It's pretty cool.
He got 4 years, eh?
Did he? Why can't I
Yeah,
see?
so
there, Van Damme.
The time out was
4 years.
Primarily
hydroxychlorothicide, hydrochlorothicide, whatever that is. I'm pretty sure it's a diuretic.
Hydrochlorothicide.
Yeah, it sounds like something you add to hydrogen in science class.
Yeah, dude. I wasn't great at chemistry, so.
Okay, it's used to treat edema, which would be like swelling or whatever. So yeah, it's a diuretic.
Diuretics and water pills, yeah. It works by causing you to make more urine.
So would that be in the event of a weight cut? He was using illegally.
Yeah, he was trying to get down to 120 odd kilograms. That looks a giant, bro.
Jesus. Like for sure, just let him be a super heavyweight, dude.
Well, it's so random, right? It's like heavyweight is 92 to 120. Should he make that like cruiserweight and then, or like chop it down a little bit and then have like an open weight class?
Yeah, so it's such a random thing. I'm like, you've got a heavyweight popping because you can't get 120 kilos. Like for sure, just let him fight at whatever weight. Like that's a heavyweight. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's so strange.
It's so random because like the heavyweight title, everyone like wants to see the biggest guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fan of heavyweight fighting in general or heavyweight combat sports, but like I know the people that do enjoy it, they want to see the biggest guy because there's always these knockouts and like, so like, should have just let them do whatever, bro.
Sorry, bro. I just want to clear this up. Are you saying you're not a fan of Tyson Fury?
I mean, I didn't watch it, so.
The problem with boxing, never heard of it. The problem with boxing is also like, why do we start at 3:00 and it just when the fight just never comes, it just never happens. It just takes a lifetime. He for sure, let me tell you, Tyson Fury is the heavyweight king of partying. My boy knows how to have a good time. Did you see these videos of him with going crazy at the after party?
Yeah, dude, topless.
My man, what a gangster. Just so you guys know, you saw that's what the prime male physique looks like, eh? Just so you know.
Yes, bro.
What a
definitely
guy.
doing something wrong.
Yeah, dude. It was a pretty good fight in terms of like heavyweight boxing is pretty legit at the moment. Check him out, boy, Tyson. All 7'1" of him. It's not very technical, if we're honest. Well, some of it is.
Tyson's side was fit. Like I didn't watch this fight, but generally from Tyson's side, he's pretty technical.
Yeah.
I mean that's what's like got him this far. You know, like he's one of the more technical heavyweights. But and Deontay Wilder is like the opposite. He's like the wild man, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love Wilder's excuses. There's always a new one. This time it was.
What was his excuse this time?
That Tyson had sketchy gloves.
Oh, but he's used that. He used that the last one, I think it was.
It was the one where he walked out in that metal suit, and then he said the metal suit made him tired.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
It was too heavy,
dude. Like,
why did you wear it, bro?
It's like, why don't the promoters just sell off the glove rights to one of the manufacturers?
Be like,
go and make everyone wear the same gloves.
Yeah, boxing is a weird one because you can kind of choose your own gloves.
Yeah, dude. I think like boxing is too free, right? You know, like they always complain about how there's so many rules and restrictions in MMA, and I do agree there's some things that could change that could help the fighters. I mean, boxing is like a little bit too free. Like you can do whatever you want in boxing.
Definitely a little bit too free. So Tyson Fury and Steve Aoki topless going wild in Vegas.
Oh my goodness.
Check it then, bro. Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
And Tyson's brother is probably, his next fight is probably Jake Paul, eh?
Mm-hmm. I saw there was another offer like another crazy
Yeah.
money amount, which should be interesting. Why not, dude?
You know, it's crazy. This will be like the guy with the best record that Tommy Fury's ever fought. A YouTuber will be the guy with the best record he's ever fought.
Crazy. My boy, the Gypsy King. What a guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, where would boxing be without the Gypsy King?
Hey, dude, he definitely makes it more entertaining, right?
Rourke, I know you were heading towards the Sylvester Chipumbu question. That's where you were going with the EFC stuff. I see you, dude.
That's what I wanted to know, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's one of these weird ones, man. Like I've heard what the EFC has had to say, and obviously what Sylvester's camp has had to say. I haven't spoken to Sylvester himself, but I don't think it's any secret that there's a contractual problem. A long-term contract that Sylvester doesn't want to sign. I think he signed for the fight, is what he had said, but they wanted him. And I think for the EFC, that's been pretty standard for some time. Like if you become a champion, I think in the past it would automatically, your contract would restart and you would get like a 3-year 6-fight deal or whatever it was. You would automatically loop back into that contract, from what I understand. I think that has since changed, and they were trying to get guys that were like defending, in like Sylvester's case, to sign a new contract before that contract had expired or before he had fought for the title. The thing is this, from a business perspective, from a promotion side, that makes sense because you want to try and hang on to your champions and all that being said. The other side of the coin is if your purse is not great, like it's going to be very hard to keep guys on and I mean that's obviously a problem at the EFC. I don't think it's not like a unknown thing. I mean they were talking about monies of like 10 grand or 15 grand to defend the title, which is it's tough. That might be wrong.
Yeah,
that might be wrong. I don't know. That's like that's on the rumor mill. It's not fact. But those are the kind of things. So when you start to hear those kind of things, let's even say it's bigger. Let's say it's 30 grand to defend your title. Still, and
dude,
to get
like
go for it, boy.
This I think a lot of this problem needs to fall onto the shoulders of the EFC. They didn't get him to sign that contract prior to fighting for the title.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think in the UFC you can't fight for the title without signing that contract,
sure.
Right? And that title clause is like a big thing that guys always talk about. It's like the moment you win the title, there's an automatic extension on your contract. Now, unfortunately, on the EFC side, unfortunately, these guys haven't signed those contracts. So I know that from my understanding that Elaine Ilunga also hasn't signed that contract. So like you got guys that are champions that aren't committed to your brand anymore, right? And that's like your biggest problem you could ever have, right? Your champion isn't actually committed. Like now they've got the title, now they can leave and go wherever they want, right?
Yeah.
So I think the thing has to fall back on the EFC's shoulders, and like why didn't they make them sign those contracts or make it a prerequisite to fight for the title? You have to sign this contract extension, because then the guys can make an educated decision. They could be like, okay, do I want to stay with the EFC and fight for a title, or do I want to like move along and try and better my career elsewhere?
Yeah.
So I think for like Sylvester's side, like the EFC stripping of the title isn't the end of the world at all. And I think for the EFC side, not having Sylvester as a champion isn't the end of the world either.
You see, this is where I start to worry, because now we're looking at a situation as like you don't have champions right across, like high caliber champions right across your roster, and now you're just chopping some because of a contract negotiation. You know what I mean? I understand the financial situation that you're in, and I mean, credit to the EFC that they're doing a lot to try and get out of that. But like, we can't just be chopping champions. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're trying to be this African-looking promotion. You've got DRC champions, you've got Zimbabwean champions, you've got South African champions, you've got a long list, and now you're chopping a guy who's obviously got quite a bit of pull in Zimbabwe. and it's been negative. It's been super negative today. You know, and it's sad. You know, like we want to aid the EFC. We want to see them doing well, and these kind of things. The concern is it a relationship problem more than a contractual problem, or is there like a relationship and contractual problem? You know, these lines start to become a little bit blurred. I hope they figure that out. Obviously, Sylvester is not going to sign again. Where that leaves him. Another footnote on that situation was I remember Sylvester's a guy who was with the promotion, left for another promotion, and then that didn't kind of work out and came back. So it's like, you know, it's a kind of the guy you want to be like, look, dude, you're going to have to commit to us, or, you know, you can't just bounce around. Like we have to, you know.
But, you know, like the way I see it is that the EFC can't afford him. He's not willing to fight for that type of money.
Sure.
Right. So it's fine. Like they don't have a contract, let them part ways. It's like, it's not the end of the world, you know, like the EFC aren't automatically just going to all of a sudden be able to afford to have him fight. So it's like, he doesn't want to fight for that money. They can't afford to pay him anymore. So let him go and apply his trade elsewhere, you know? It's not like they can't force the UFC to pay him more money because there is no more money.
Sure.
Right? It's not like the UFC. The UFC is like, oh, fuck you. He has $10,000. That's all we're going to pay you. I've got $1 billion in the bank, but I'm only going to give you 10,000. It's not like that. It's like, we've got 10,000 Rand because that, or whatever the amount is. We don't know what the amount is. But that's all the money we have. Like, we can't give you more because there isn't any more.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. I'm not willing to fight for that. Let me go somewhere else and fight for more money. And yeah, so I think like there's a lot being said about the event, about this, but I think it's a bit ugly. The way it's gone down is a bit ugly, but the reality is that neither of them want to do business with each other anymore. So they might as well just part ways.
The concern for me always is I look at the athlete. I'm like, okay, he's going to take a chance. Maybe he's going to roll the dice. Maybe he's got something else lined up. I don't know. Where at this point in time, where else do you go? You know what I mean? Like it's not clear cut. It's not easy. I mean, look at Temba, how hard he's had to do. He's had to put himself in positions just to get onto UAE Warriors to get a chance to be in front of Dana. You know what I mean? Like it's, I mean, in his head, it's a done deal, but you still got to go through all of those motions. You know what I mean? And
they didn't give him like they didn't give him the ease of fights, dude. Like
exactly, you know what I'm saying.
They definitely lumbered him with a tough fight, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's a super tough fight. And then you've got to use, okay, fair enough that maybe you're looking up to Timber and you're like, if he can do it, I can do it. And Timber's like, he's very good at that. He's very motivated. He's self-confident. He's going to go out and get the job done, and it's awesome. But like it's a hard road. You know what I mean? It's a super hard road. And there's not everyone is Timber Garimbo. You know what I mean? Like you've got to know that. So it's like, my concern is like, where to from here? Like if he's got it figured out, all the more power to him. And I really hope that we will see Sylvester again in whatever promotion that is, or however it works out. But it's like it's a hard road, man. And that's the concern. Like I just want to see our guys doing well at the end of the day, wherever they are, you know. It's just an interesting one, man. Like it's the plus side of it, like a guy like Sandile who's really earned that shot now in the EFC, he gets his shot, and I'm happy about that. You know, that's good news for him.
Sandile was always there, right? Like Sandile, if it was either fighting Sylvester or now it's going to be fighting Faiz. But do you think that there's a new, like the new professional fighters roadmap is slightly different now with the current environment? Do you think guys used to like get their pro license, go to the EFC, ride it out until they were champions, and then move along, right?
Yeah.
Do you not think that now the new roadmap is to go to the EFC, get some experience, get 2 or 3 fights, then find sponsors to get them to a different location, Europe, America, wherever it is, to run those circuits and then try and get in the UFC? Because I don't think there's a possibility with the current environment of spending your whole career in South Africa and getting to the UFC. I don't think with the current environment it's possible anymore.
Very, very, very hard. So the Contender Series is an obvious option, and I think that's the one where people are getting the most excited about because it's a foothold in. From what I understand, how the Contender Series works is the payment structure is completely different to go via the Contender Series. That's why a lot of guys will try and get in and dance around the contender series. The other side of that is if you can go into the contender series, you can prepare for it like a fight, you can have a full-on camp, and if you perform, you can get your contract. Like it's the most honest, it's the most honest way of getting a UFC contract. I do feel like my only advice to South African fighters trying to get into the UFC from a very, I mean, I'm like a very small perspective from what I see and what I understand, an EFC belt right now is not going to guarantee you a slot into the UFC. You know, back when if you had beaten, let's say, for example, you had beaten Dallas Jacoby and then Soldier Boy and Darren Daniels and then got a title. And like, look at like Chef, Andy Funzel, Ruan Potts, those guys were all on the radar of the UFC. And whoever kind of got to the belt the fastest, which was Ruan Potts at the time, got that contract. It could have been any one of them, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a little bit different now, you know what I mean? Like, we have to consider your belt and who you've beaten. That's the way I see it. That's what I understand is happening.
Yeah.
So if you can get to, my thing is this, the pay is obviously a problem. I think it's been a problem for a long time. If you're smart about how you do things, and it's easy to say it, I understand that, go and win a title, defend it a couple of times, earn that stake, and then start pushing on to an overseas contract. You know what I mean? You can't win a belt and then decide that and I'm not saying this is the case with anybody. I'm just saying from my point of view, you can't win a belt and then start claiming that you're now ready for the UFC. You know what I mean? It's hard out there, man. It's tough. I
almost feel like as like an intelligent fighter, like your roadmap would actually be avoiding being an EFC champion to get, so that you're not bound contractually to the EFC when the time comes to try and make the transition to the UFC, right? Because like if the EFC were doing their contracts correctly, once you become a champion, you tied in with them. And that's what happened with like Ruan. His contract was negotiated through the EFC.
Yeah.
Right. The EFC negotiated directly with the UFC, and like they were kind of acted as his manager then. Right. So like if you want to get the most out of your contract with the UFC, it's kind of like you almost can't be the champion, right? You have to like kind of skirt the championship status and go and get onto that scene elsewhere. I know like Titan FC and those guys have much better relationships with the UFC, but like for me personally, if I had to like redo like my whole professional career and like it was something that I dedicated my life to, I'd get some experience in the EFC, get sponsors together to take me overseas, run one of the overseas circuits, either Europe or North America, and try and get in through that, dude. Because I mean,
sure.
I don't think that an EFC title holds enough weight at this stage. In the UFC, I
think it does and it doesn't. I think I agree 100% with what you're saying, but I also think at the same time there is still the space. Let's say, for an example, let's use Sylvester as an example. If he defended his title 4 times, for example, and the EFC were trying to like hunt him contenders, you know, like start with Sylvester, Sandile, maybe like a Chumisang Madiba, an Urshad, like those kind of guys, and then it's okay. He's defended his title against all 3 of those guys. Let's use a better one. Let's use a Demart, and then the EFC is actively saying, we have this guy. He's defended his title here 5 times, 6 times. We want to get him to the UFC. I think that's the way the relationship was working before. Soldier Boy, Ruan Potts, you know, like they were trying to foot them into the UFC, which made a lot of sense for them. You know, you've made these champions, you've got them there, you've built up these athletes. Like now it's just kind of like you were seeing too many guys come in and go quite quickly. You know what I mean? And that's you from a business perspective, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But it's also like it is true what you're saying. Like you can. The EFC is still an amazing platform. You know what I mean? It's big lights, big production. You know, there are some great fights to have. Yeah, exactly. And massive exposure. And I think the exposure is where still to this day, people are struggling to capitalize. You know, work your sponsors, like work your brand. Take someone like Cam Simon, for example. Cam Simon, at this point of his career, obviously his intention is not to stay at the EFC forever. He understands the process to, work the EFC as much as possible, get himself into title contention the right way, win the title, maybe defend a belt once or twice, and he would have done his job. You know what I mean? The calls will come, or maybe he'll go overseas and do like you say. It's a weird scenario at the moment. It's tough, man. It's a super tough sport to be in.
So honestly, I think what you mentioned now with the EFC's relationship with the UFC, I think that existed at one stage, but I think after the Ruan and Gareth era, I think that fell away fairly quickly.
Sure.
Because then why didn't Igor Cabeza get into the UFC? Why didn't Mark Pena get into the UFC? These are two extremely dominant champions that struggled. Martin van Staden couldn't get into the UFC. There's a long list of phenomenal fighters in South Africa that couldn't get into the UFC because being an EFC champion wasn't sufficient.
Sure.
Right? Don was a great EFC champion, but it's no secret that he got into the UFC without the EFC's assistance.
Sure.
He got through there through his network of individuals and the UFC getting exposure to see what skill level he's at. So I honestly don't. I think people can't put too much weight on being an EFC champion anymore. Until the EFC's back up and one of the top 5 brands in the world again, I think guys need have a better roadmap to getting into the UFC. And I think that roadmap doesn't include being an EFC champion.
Sure. That's a bombshell for all of you aspiring UFC fighters out there. Warren says,
"Well, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about." Right?
Sounds a lot like a comeback. Hey, Rock.
That sounds like he's confirmed it.
I will
never fight again. I'll never fight again.
I basically heard him say he's gonna work his way to ONE FC and then the UFC. That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
Yes, at the ripe old age of 35, I'm going to start a restart my career.
In your prime,
Van Damme just won on the weekend, Warren. Van Damme
48.
just won on the weekend.
I know, but I wasn't genetically gifted like Van Damme.
He won by obliteration at 48, bro.
You're an athlete, Warren. Don't ever doubt yourself.
Yes, you're off. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you on Friday when I get back from Durban.
Warren's back. Rock's back is sore just from looking at you. That's how much of an athlete you are.
Dude, this like been dodging me like nonstop. Saturday we had comp class, right? And like I was trying to make groups. So like it was like Chad, myself, Fabian, Ray. We had like this like Cal. We had like this like nice group. Rock's like, no, I can't roll, guys. I was like, you are so dedicated to avoiding me that you're not even gonna roll today. You're
Warren,
just gonna sit and watch.
Literally roll you every single session except for
Did you roll me? Did you roll me tonight?
No.
Did you roll me at midday?
Today's the first Saturday. I haven't rolled you.
Did you roll I
didn't roll anyone on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. This is like an A grade dodger, bro.
I just fixed his back on Saturday morning, boy. Friday morning.
I know, and then he put it out again on Sunday morning, apparently.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you see Rock, please be sure to rub his back from carrying this team. We'll chat to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.
See you, dude.
Peace.
Cheers.